This exercise is going to allow us to play a little bit with checkboxes, radio buttons, and define group of radio buttons that allow you to select only one of them. That's the main use case for radio buttons, right? And we are going to apply this to select what kind of shapes we want to display in a stack pane. So we are starting once again with our basic JavaFX template that doesn't do much. So we are going to start by renaming this. I'm going to call that geometric shapes selection. Okay, so I'm renaming the class here, saving it as a new file. Yes, and I made again a typo here, using the wrong keyboard shortcut. File, save as, there we go. Okay, so we are going to start by setting the foundation for our window, okay, the layout that we want. So we are going to put as two fields, private fields. We are going to start by putting the size that we want for our overall pane. Rate, double, pane height, and that's going to allow us to refer to those from anywhere, obviously, or at least in this code, right? So we have this. Now we are going to create our main pane, and we are going to use a stack pane for that. So immediately, that means that we need to also put our layout here. There we go, layout, stack pane. Okay, so we have our stack pane. Now we are going to, so we're going to be able to put inside this stack pane our geometric figures. Okay, but we need something to contain the stack pane itself. So we're going to use a border pane, and we need to also have something to contain our button. So let's declare all of those, and we're going to rename them to make it easy to identify which one is which. So the border pane is going to be where we put actually everything. So this one is going to come last, okay? So before it, I'm going to also define my edge box. Edge box. There we go. Okay, and obviously we're going to do some feng shui here. So we're going to both create the main part of our window and already kind of position them and stuff like that. We'll have obviously to add all of our geometric shapes, all of our buttons, radio button and check button here to that edge box. We'll do that later. For the border pane, what do we have to do? Well, border pane, we're going to actually set our main pane, which is a stack pane, at the center of it. Okay, and then border pane, we're going to set the bottom to be the edge box. Okay, so for this part here, for the border pane itself, we're pretty complete. Okay, we just need to make sure that at the bottom part here, we are going to add the right stuff to our scene. So we want to obviously add here the border pane. There we go, and we are going to specify pane width and pane height. Okay, and I'm going to actually increase the pane height by a little bit just to make room for the button. Okay, set title, yeah, sure, we can set the title. Set scene is fine, and the primary stage is going to be shown here. So all of this is good. We're working our way from the bottom to the top. So inside the edge box, we need a few button and radio buttons. So we are going to create that next. Okay, so radio button. So radio button, we need radio button to select the geometric shape. So we'll try with we'll start with the circle. Okay, then we'll cut and paste because we are going to have to do the same thing for a rectangle and an ellipse. Okay, so let me rename also the variable here, RB rectangle and RB ellipse. Okay, so these are the three radio buttons to select the shape, the geometric shape. Then we need a checkbox. And this checkbox allows us to determine whether we want the geometrical shape being displayed, to actually be filled or not. So we have a single checkbox fill. Now, regarding the radio buttons, we have a little bit more work to do because right now we have two radio buttons that are completely independent of one another. So what we need to do is we need to define a toggle group. So there we go. We have a new toggle group object, and then we are going to say that our radio button circle belongs to that toggle group. Okay, that's how it works. So to that end, we just specify that its toggle group is, and we pass a reference to our object group. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the rectangle, and we're going to do the same thing for the ellipse as well. So let's do that right now. Rectangle and ellipse. So now that those three radio buttons belong to the same group, JavaFX is going to make sure that when we click one, the others are deselected automatically. We still have the little matter of which one is going to be selected by default to decide. So we are going to say arbitrarily that it's actually the circle shape that is selected by default. So all of this defines actually our radio buttons and their behavior. Okay, so we have the radio button, we have the checkbox. So we are at the point where we can actually add all of this to the edge box. So I should define the edge box afterward, and as soon as I'm done creating all those objects and creating my edge box, I can do a get children on my edge box, and then add all, and specify that I want to add my radio button for the circle, the one for the rectangle, the one for the ellipse, and I want to also add this check fill, I think I called it, yes, there we go, check fill checkbox. Okay, so all of this is looking pretty good so far. So we have all of our layout here. What else do we need? Okay, now we need to work on our stack pane a little bit. Okay, so inside the stack pane, the idea is that we want to prepare all of the different geometric shape, and then we want to add one of them to the stack pane, which is going to be the circle. Okay, so we are going to get rid of just a generic stuff, like for example stack pane. We are going to use the set style method here to do a little bit of styling, like the name imply. Okay, so more specifically, I'm going to check the border the border color, set it to gray. Okay, and then I'm going to do spane dot get children, and on that I'm going to add my circle, which I have not yet created. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit of room here, and the way I'm going to create my circle is going to be like we did in previous exercise. So new circle, and I'm going to pass to it arbitrary coordinate and size. Okay, I'll just make sure to keep all the figures pretty much around the same coordinate. I need to do then something to make it visible on the screen. So the set stroke is going to be set to color black. Okay, and the fill to contrast with the gray of the pane is going to be set to color white. Okay, so Now right now I have the circle and I can add it, okay? The same way I'm going to actually create a rectangle and an ellipse, okay? So rectangle equal new rectangle. So I'm going to keep the same center coordinate. There we go. And I'm going to give a certain width and length. I'm going to do the same thing here for the rectangle. So I'm just going to change that. So same stroke color, same fill color. And then I'm going to do the same thing again for my ellipse. Please note that I am not adding actually the rectangle and the ellipse to my stack pane. Okay, so rectangle is here. There we go. Here comes the ellipse. And of course, if I leave a new rectangle, that won't do. So I'm creating a new ellipse. 2020 is fine. Let's do 50, 70 here. Okay, and then we just need to again set the color and the stroke, the fill color, sorry, as the stroke color. Okay, looks pretty good. So let's recap a bit here. We have all of this. We have our stack pane first created. We create our circle, add it to the stack pane. We create also the rectangle ellipse that we are going to add later. We have all of our radio buttons here taken care of, checkbox. Then we add them to the edge box. Then we put our stack pane and our edge box in a border pane, which we use to set the scene. Okay, so there should be a ton of little typos, and most likely this is going to be a lot of import missing. So let's try to anticipate a bit some of our import that are going to be missing, okay, so that we don't have a gazillion compilation error message. So javafx dot geometry dot pos, okay, we used the class pos to specify that we wanted to align things in a centered manner. What else do we need? We have our checkbox and radio buttons, so this is going to be part of scene. So I'm going to try to get rid of all the scene one at the same time, and more specifically control. So let me cut and paste this, there we go, and then I'm going to use checkbox. I'm going to use radio button. What else am I using? Toggle group to be able to put them together, and I think that's it for the controls. As far as layout go, we have the stack pane, so I'm going to cut and paste again this to save some time. We have a stack pane, we have a border pane, and we have an edge box. That should be it for the layout. What else do we need? The same way we set the position, we also play with colors. So we're going to use javafx.scene.paint.color. All right, and then I think all we have left are our shapes. So that's part of scene as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste stuff I have to retype over and over again. So that's going to be scene.shape and then circle and then rectangle and the last one will be ellipse. Okay, well, I might have still forgotten some stuff, okay, but we should have a good portion of what we need already here. So let's give it a shot and compile. Okay, a few things still wrong, like I see an uppercase that should not be an uppercase. Mostly typos, okay, so like for example here it's RB Eclipse, fair enough. Here we have a set bottom that is actually uppercase, so okay, there we go. Here, set bottom. What else? That's it. Okay, not too bad. Compile again. Let's give it a run to see if the layouts are appropriate. Well, the layout looks good. Okay, so the stack pane is here, the edge box is underneath, everything is encapsulated in a border pane. That's resizing nicely. What else? Well, we don't have anything to drag and drop. Well, no, actually, that's another exercise. Sorry about that. We don't have anything here that make our application react too much. Okay, but at the very least, you can see that the radio button are indeed in the same toggle group. The checkbox is independent, so it's behaving as you would expect. The only thing we need to do now is we need to have event handlers hooked on those different control here so that they can do actually what they are meant to be doing. So we're going to tackle that next. We're going to go past our primary stage showing, and we're going to start hooking event handlers here to our different control. So let's start, since it's activated by default. Okay, let's start with the RB circle. So set on action. We're going to do the same stuff here over and over for the different controls. So I'm going to say set a kind of a template, okay, a basic layout, and then I'm going to cut and paste that just to have it for later. So let me re-indent here. So I'm going to keep that in my cut and paste buffer. I don't know if it took it actually. There we go. Yeah. So I'm going to keep that in my cut and paste buffer for later. And now we're going to fill in the specific code that we need for a circle. So what do we need to do when we actually click circle? Well, we are going to play on our S pane. Okay. So the S pane, the children of the S pane are, or actually the child inside the S pane is, singular, the geometric shape that we are trying to display at the moment. Okay, so we don't care what we were displaying until now, but we are going to clear it. Okay, get rid of it, and then we are going to again access the get children collection and add, well, we add the circle because you selected the radio button that corresponds to the circle. We had here the circle geometric shape that we already created. And then we are going to take a look at the CHK fill checkbox. Okay, so we have this convenient method, it's selected, that returns a boolean, and it's going to tell us whether the user selected this option, meaning that we need to actually take our circle and then do a set fill and actually fill the shape. Okay. All right, and I'm going to improve a little bit this in a second. Okay, but now let's continue for now. Set fill. So the logic is, if you don't want me to fill it, then I'm going to fill it with the white color, which is the default we have been using. Okay. All right. Now, so now we could actually reuse all of that. Okay. We could cut and paste and use it for the rectangle and use it for the ellipse. So I'm going to do something else here to make sure that it's, well, hold on a minute. Can we actually make it even easier? No, I think that's pretty basic here. Yeah, it's pretty basic. So let's leave it at that for now. We'll just do a brutal cut and paste. Never mind. So I'm taking the event handler for the circle. I'm going to paste it one time, and that's going to be my event handler for my rectangle. Rectangle. If I do not put typos in there, that would be easier. So my radio button for the rectangle is going to add the rectangle to the stack pane. Check if it's if we want to fill it. If we want to fill it, we are going to set the fill color one way. If not, we are going to set it the other way. And this is again exactly what we are going to do for our ellipse. So we handle in one milestone here the free event handler for our free radio button, corresponding each to one of the geometric shapes. All right. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's save. Let's see if we have anything to clean up here. Yeah, a few things to clean up. Yes, same. Obviously, that's the problem when you do cut and paste programming, right? Is that if you make one mistake, like for example, I made one mistake here, I misspelled the class color. then the same mistake gets cut and pasted pretty much all the time. So you're going to have more to fix. Okay, hopefully that takes care of that. Was there anything else here? No, I don't think there was anything else. So let's go again, compile, and let's run to see if that part is working. So we have here same thing, our pane. Okay, if I switch to rectangle, that's working. So every time we remove the one shape that is added to the get children collection of the stack pane, okay, we remove everything from that collection and we re-inject one of the three objects we created. But we don't recreate this object every time, right? We created them once and for all at the beginning of our program. We just add them to the list of what has to be displayed in that stack pane. Okay, and the fill, well, the fill is not doing it, you know, well, it's doing something, but it's not exactly what it's not actually acting yet as we want it. Okay, what I mean by that is that if it's unchecked and you go and switch to a form, it's going to be indeed empty. But if you check it, we would like for this the shape to fill right now. Okay, well, it's not filling. However, the next time you switch to another shape, you know, because in the code here we test when we switch a shape, you know, we test the status of that checkbox, then we are capable to determine that this time we need to fill things. So we're almost there. Okay, there's just a little bit missing here. So let's see how we can fix that, and that should not be too complicated. So we have a chk fill checkbox. Okay, so set on action same ID. All right, and then we pass a lambda expression here that is going to represent our event handler. So what do we want to do? Well, obviously we want to start by checking what is going on, okay, if the checkbox is actually selected. So there's going to be an if statement here and an else. That's going to depend on whether we want to fill the form or not. So one way we can solve this problem is we can say, if you, at the moment you check, you know, the checkbox, I don't know which geometrical shape is currently being displayed. Okay, but what I know is that we have already our free object, our free shape created, so I can go ahead and just modify the objects themselves and say, well, I want my circle, rectangle, and ellipse to be filled with the color black. Okay, and similarly, if actually you are trying to uncheck that checkbox, okay, I don't know what shape is currently on the screen, but I really don't care. Okay, I'm going to simply set everything to white, so that whichever one was actually displayed is going to change color just like that. Okay, so let's save, compile, see if we have any typo to get rid of. Nope. Let's run. Okay, let's see if that's working. So first, we didn't break anything, so this is still switching. When I click fill, the ellipse is switching. When I switch again between shapes, okay, no problem, it's still working. So if I unclick rectangle, it switches. So ellipse and rectangle can be filled like instantly, and then the circle same way. Okay, so we made sure that all of our features here that were required are working. So we're pretty much done with this little program here.